Okay, so usually I don't make videos like this, but I kind of felt like I had to for this one because okay, usually I keep my opinions about Helluva Boss like away from the internet, but I had to say something about this one because this is genuinely one of the most problematic like opinions on Helluva Boss I've ever seen in my life. This isn't a character study per se, but like I don't really know what else you would call it, but today we're talking about Octavia, Stolas' daughter, and how her cutting Stolas out of her life makes absolute sense, and she's completely in the right for it. It doesn't mean I don't like Stolas, don't get me wrong, but he deserved this, alright? And I'm going to explain why, alright? So, let's get into it. Okay, to start with, Stolas is a royal demon, in case you didn't know. He actually is a real royal demon in, like, the Bible. I don't know, I've never read the Bible, and I never will, so yeah. But he is a real demon, but, like, this is in the show's version, he's part of the Goetia family, the royal family in hell. They're not the royalist family in hell, obviously, that goes to the Morning Stars, but he is a royal family, and the Goetias all have their duties in hell to make sure like hell is like running smoothly. Stolas' job is to like study the skies and the planets. This is real, by the way, and he was obligated. Keep this in mind, by the way, to have an heir to the throne in case he dies. Because while the Goetias are immortal, they are also can be killed with angel weapons. So yeah, they had to have a precautionary heir, and he was forced to marry Stella, who ranks lower than him in the Goetias, and she's an abusive, manipulative bitch. That's the best way to put it. um, Both of them like are neither of them wanted to be in the relationship, but they were kind of forced to. So even though she has no excuse to be abusive to him, she also is technically a victim in this too because like she was forced in it just as much as he was. People seem to forget that as well, but yeah, so they were obligated to have Octavia. That's my point. Okay, so in like Octavia's debut episode, the second episode, it shows a flashback of her having a nightmare and where Stolas disappears, and Stolas sings her a song about how like even if he did disappear, she'll be okay. Like it's literally called "You'll Be Okay," saying that like he'll always be there for her even if he's far away or gone. Like it's a metaphor for if he died per se. And like that made her feel better, and she fell asleep. And then it cuts to the present day, where her parents are arguing because at this point Stolas has cheated on Stella with Blitz. It's also worth mentioning that Stella used to sleep in on most days, and he would check on her in the mornings. But then, like because of the arguments, it wakes her up every morning. So yeah, that's a toxic environment to be in. It's also worth mentioning though that to be fair, Stolas does love Octavia. Like I definitely do believe that, and you can tell in like the pictures around their house that like she's definitely like the thing in his life that makes him like keep going on. So I'll give him the credit for that, but that doesn't excuse anything here, because he always promised that he would never leave her, and then when he cheated on Stella with Blitz, that's when she started seeing all the red flags and like, oh, maybe my dad's not so great. Also, keep this in mind as well. He also promised her as a child that he would take her to see a meteor shower that only happens every 1,000 years. And it was, I'll get to the episode soon, don't worry, but the day happens, and boy oh boy, wait until you hear about that. Okay, so I was gonna talk about how, like, Blitz, like, seduced Stolas, but I feel like I'll save that for if I decide to make a video about their relationship. I don't know if I will or not. It's not a no, but it's not a yes. So we'll save that for now. But I am going to skip to my next point, which was, from Octavia's perspective, Blitz is a homewrecker. So that's why she's angry at Stolas and angry at her mom and angry at Blitz, because she just sees it as, like, from her perspective, because she is 17, a literal child. Keep that in mind as well, by the way, that in her perspective, he's just destroyed her family. So yeah, Stolas and Stella have always hated each other, but since they were obligated to have Octavia together, they didn't show their arguments around her, if that makes sense. So around her, everything was fine. They were just like an average family, but behind closed doors, definitely wasn't that. She was Stella definitely abused Stolas. Okay, this is where the red flags for Stolas really start to pop out for Octavia. And I don't agree with this at all. So one day when Stolas and Stella are arguing, Stolas is like, did you sleep well, my owlet? And then she's like, is that a serious question? All right. How are my impressions of them, by the way? So yeah, they have like a back and forth. Like Stolas asks what she's listening to. She says that the song's called "My World's Burning Down Around Me," and you're never gonna believe this. The band is called "Fuck You, Dad." Like, it actually is. That's a good name for a band. It really, really is. And then, like, that's when he gets the idea to, like, bond with her again and take her to Loo Loo Land. Because he used to take her to Loo Loo Land all the time as a kid, but what he doesn't realize is that she has trauma from Loo Loo Land that we'll get into in a little bit, but yeah. But then he says that he's going to arrange their security, which obviously that makes sense. They're the royal family. There's going to be people trying to assassinate them. But he asks Blitz to be his security. So it was just an excuse to spend time with Blitz. Yeah. Obviously, I do believe he did want to spend time with Octavia, but he also took it as an advantage to just spend time with Blitz. So, yeah, that's not good. You know, you don't invite the person. Maybe it was like to like see if him and Octavia got along, but I really doubt that. Like, so yeah, don't invite your child to hang out with a person you've cheated on their mother with, please. That's really weird. That is no, fam. Oh, I don't even need to say how many red flags that is. So when they get to Loo Loo Land, Stolas will not stop flirting with Blitz. He keeps flirting with him. Maybe I will make the video about Stolas and Blitz, because the flirting, I just want to make a side note. Blitz really hates it when Stolas flirts with him because he talks down to him. But as we find out in Season 2 later on, Stolas doesn't see that as talking down to him. So that's also a red flag in its own. Not from Octavia, but, like, from Stolas. But I'll save that for another time. But anyway, he keeps flirting with Blitz in front of her, and she's actually disgusted by it. She, like, actually feels ill. Like, she's not having a good time. I don't even need I feel like anyone would be so uncomfortable in this situation, because you're literally with, from your mind, the one that ruined your family, and your dad keeps flirting with them, and it's like, what is happening right now? Why am I even here? So, I will say, though, he takes Octavia to the show where she had the trauma with RoboFizz. I will get into, like, I'm not going to talk about RoboFizz here, because he's not really relevant that much, but the point is, he used to terrify Octavia when she was a child, so she doesn't have good memories of going to Loo Loo Land, like, at all. But the thing is, Blitz also used to work at Loo Loo Land and was overshadowed by RoboFizz, but again, we'll not talk about that here. And while Stolas is having the best time of his life with the RoboFizz show, Octavia's hating it. And then when an assassin tries to kill Stolas right behind him, Stolas shoots them, obviously, that was what he was paid for. And then Stolas is like, oh, what good aim you have, Blitzy. And then this is when Octavia just has enough and runs away. And to be fair, Stolas does go after her instantly, so that's, good. But then, like, he finds her in the funhouse, I think it's called, just crying her eyes out. And then that's when she's like, I don't want to be here, but you ruined home because you've slept with him, and you keep flirting with him in front of me, and it's just horrible. And Stolas tries to explain to her how, like, he and Stella never loved each other, and how they were just obligated to have her, but, like, he just couldn't say it, which I understand why. And then, here's the first big thing, by the way. So, Octavia asks if he is going to run away with Blitz and never go back to see her. And then he said that he'd never, ever do that. And then that's when, like, Stella feels a little bit better, and then that's when they leave Loo Loo Land, and she kind of makes up with him. And then, also side note, it turns out that Stolas never needed Blitz to begin with, because he has Medusa powers. Because an assassin tries to sneak up right behind him, and obviously being an owl, he just twists his head, just looks right at them, and they turn to stone. So you didn't need Blitz to begin with. It really was just an excuse to hang out with him. Wow. But yeah, the point is that Octavia does kind of make up with him, and he makes up with her, and they end on a happy note. So there you go. Okay, so remember how earlier on I said that he promised to take her to a meteor shower? Well, the day has finally arrived, and she's so excited. She's excited to spend time with her dad. She's excited to see the meteors. It's going to be amazing. But something I didn't mention. So the night before, Stolas went on a date with Blitz. Blitz was just using him so he could buy on Moxie and Millie's date, because he wants to be a third wheel with them, because he's jealous of what they have. So he was only using Stolas. But the real Fizzaroli and then the King of Lust, Osmodeus, were there, because it's their club. And at first they were ripping into Moxie for having a love song rather than a lust song. And then when Blitz was like, hey, don't talk to them like that, that's when they started bullying Blitz, because Fizzaroli and Blitz have a past that I won't get into with this video, because it's not about them. And so Stolas, they're all like, Stolas, oh, you're sleeping with an imp. Oh, that's so lustful. And then that's when Stolas gets embarrassed and hides his face, which hurts Blitz's feelings. And then when Blitz takes Stolas home and they like argue, saying like all they have is a transactional relationship, Stolas has a rough night, to say the least. So he ends up drinking a lot, and then he wakes up the next day, and like Stella is like, I like tormenting you. I want to keep reminding you of what you did. And then this is when Stolas finally puts his foot down and is like, I am not doing this anymore. I want you out of my life. We are getting the divorce. Because it's kind of frowned upon for the Goetias to divorce, in case you didn't know. Because since they're all obligated to get married to each other, also they're all related, by the way. I feel like I should have said that. It's frowned upon for them to be divorced. So yeah, Stella's not happy with this, and she does go to slap him, and then this is where it's definitely proven that she hits him, because he knows instantly when to catch her hand. So yeah, and then that's when he's like, Octavia's already 17, so that's all we were married for, so it's over, I'm done. And then like Stella leaves, and then cut to what I was saying. So the next day, he's moving all of Stella's things out and yelling at her on the phone, and you can just tell how much he's loving this. I do feel kind of proud of him here, to be fair. And then Octavia is upset about this, not because her parents are divorcing, because she knows that they're not happy together, but because Stolas has forgotten about taking her to see the stars. So she gets upset, and this is when she decides to go into Blitz's office and steal Stolas' book, because I should have mentioned this as well, but Stolas has a magic book called the Grimoire that he uses to like make portals to the stars, and Blitz was going to steal it for his business. I will talk about his business in our future video, and that's why they have their transactional relationship. He keeps sleeping with Stolas, and he gets to use the book. That's their transactional. So, yeah, that sounds really complicated as well. Yeah, Octavia breaks into Blitz's office to steal the book, and she asks it to take her to the stars, but she doesn't quite elaborate, so it takes her to Hollywood. Oh, should I really be talking about Hollywood in this video? I guess I have to. So Stolas does go to look for her, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So Octavia keeps trying to ask for help to find, like, an observatory or something to see the stars, and then she sees a poster with a star tour, but she doesn't realize that it's to see, like, actors' mansions. Yeah, again, I shouldn't really be talking about that, but that's when she gets bored because it's not what she was looking for, and she rips out the map, and then she starts, like, looking at different shops in, like, LA, like, because there's a shop that has, like, star stuff in the window, and she takes a photo of it on her Instagram and posts it, and this is how Luna finds her, by the way, because Luna is Blitz's daughter, in case you didn't know, and she's, like, it was her job to go and find her, and she looks at her Instagram to realize that she's, like, posting everywhere she's been. And then that's when she finds her crying at an observatory. And I love this moment as well because they get to bond as sisters. Do not ship them because Luna's 22 and Octavia's 17. So please do not ship them. So, Octavia's crying because she didn't get to see the stars. And her dad, like, hates her mom more than she loves her. And then she, like, she still thinks that he hasn't bothered to come find her yet. But then, this is when Luna basically says, your dad's trying, I feel like you should have cut him some slack. And then that's when she tells her that he is actually there looking for her. But this also works as development for Luna because when she's talking about Stolas, she also realizes that Blitz is there for her as well and trying. And I might make a video about their relationship at some point, but we're not going to talk about that because it's completely irrelevant. So Luna takes Octavia to see Stolas, and she apologizes and then says that she only just wanted to see the stars. And then that's when Stolas is like, oh my gosh, the meteor shower. I am so sorry, Via. And then this is when she's like, it's alright, you're here now. And then they, like, hug and that. And then fireworks launch as well, just as they're saying that. And it's kind of like he made up for it because the fireworks are kind of like the meteor shower. So that was another nice moment. But keep in mind, he broke his promise to her. And this is going to be a pattern. So, yeah. So here we are at Mastermind. One of my favorite episodes because we got to see all the sins. And I was so excited to see them all. Anyway, that's completely irrelevant. So, this is when Stella's brother finds out that he was letting Blitz use his book without permission, because it's illegal for that. And obviously this means that they can use that against Stolas, because since it's illegal for imps to use royal artifacts like that, it means that Blitz has to be taken to court, where he has to face Satan and the other sins. I want to just say one thing, though. Satan and Lucifer are completely different characters. Lucifer is the king of hell and Charlie's dad in Hazbin Hotel, but Satan is the king of wrath and basically the second in command. But since Lucifer has abandoned his royal duties since Lilith left him, that now Satan is like basically in charge because he was like the second royalist demon right behind him. Okay? But that's completely irrelevant. Anyway, so I want to skip most of this because it's not relevant to Via, but Blitz was sentenced to death for using the grimoire, but then Stolas saw this and he went to the courthouse to like try and was basically like, oh no, Blitz didn't do anything, it was all me. And that's when Via sees this on TV. Now, just remember one thing. At Loo Loo Land, he promised her that he'd never ever leave her to be with Blitz. But remember what I said. Blitz was going to be sentenced to death. So, in Stolas' mind, that means that if Blitz wasn't going to be sentenced to death, the punishment would be given to him, and that he would be sentenced to death. Meaning, he never got to say goodbye to Octavia because he was too busy thinking about Blitz. Like, obviously, saving Blitz was the best idea, obviously, but he never once thought of Octavia during this. So, yeah, this is where the bad opinions come in, because Stolas ended up not dying because to the sins, his life actually has value over Blitz's life, because Blitz is an imp, which means nothing to them. But he was stripped of his powers and his status for 100 years, and then this is where he finally says, what about my daughter? And then Stella's brother Andre was like, oh, she'll be fine with us. Because he's now taken on Stolas' like role in the Goetias, because he ranked lower than him, but now he's higher ranked than he ever was, which is wow. So yeah, now Stolas has been banished from the Goetia family, and now he has to live with Blitz. Blitz has obviously taken him in with no questions asked because he saved his life, but keep in mind, he does not think about Octavia until that very moment. So yeah, red flags. And Octavia saw all of this on TV, and she went to run. I feel like she went to the courthouse, but Stella stopped her in this moment, and this is the first time we've seen Stella even interact with her at all on the show. So, yeah, that's also a red flag in itself. And Stella just hugs her, and then Octavia starts crying, but this isn't to comfort her. This is because Stella's finally gotten what she wanted. She now has possession of all of Stolas' things, because if she had killed Stolas before this, then all of his things would just went to Octavia, and she would have got nothing. But since she isn't of age yet, since she's only 17, that means that Stella and her brother get Stolas' status and things, while Octavia has to wait until she turns 18. But even then, since Stella and Andre have all this, they will have to die for that first. So, yeah. That is a big bad thing. So, just keep that in mind. In Octavia's mind, Stolas has abandoned her and is now staying with Blitz. And even though he does try to phone her, Stella and Andre will not let Octavia talk to him, which is just making it worse. And they don't even care about Octavia. They're just busy, like, having the time of their lives with all of Stolas' servants, pampering them. And I said this in my last video, but this is my favorite song in the whole show. So, I almost said Stella. Octavia sings a song called I'll Be Okay, which is to mirror You'll Be Okay, obviously. And I feel like I'm not going to do this well, but basically, to break down the song, she's singing about how Stolas made his decision and how she's not going to put up with him anymore, how she's done with him, and that she'll be okay without him. She'll never be the same, but she knows that, like, she doesn't want him to hurt her again because he's already lied to her twice now and broken 2 of his promises. So she's done, alright? But after she sings the song, because she's in Stolas' old room, she finds Stolas is meds. If you didn't know, Stolas takes meds to be happy, antidepressants. Obviously, they don't just magically make you happy, but they did kind of help him a little bit because he had to deal with Stella and being in an unhappy relationship and Stella abusing him all the time. So, yeah. So, she does try to return the meds to Stolas by going to Blitz's office. Now, still in keeping this in mind, she just sees Blitz as a homewrecker, but Blitz actually sees her as a daughter, which is really sad. But Stolas isn't there because Stolas decided that he's going to see his daughter whatever Andre or Stella does to him. But when he gets there, he just beats the shit out of Andre, but since Andre still has his powers, he instantly heals and makes a freaking ice dragon that eats Stolas. But then that's when Blitz comes to save him, and then that's when Octavia uses her magic to save them. And I should have watched the episode before I recorded this, but Andre's like, how dare you do this, you stupid bitch. He doesn't say that, but that's basically the gist of it. And then, like, when Blitz points out that he just got owned by a bunch of imps and a hellhound, because they're the lowest ranks of all demons, that's when he's like, oh shit. And then he goes back into the house like, you're not worth my time. And, okay, here's the moment that I've been waiting to talk about this whole video. So, Stolas is basically like, oh, Via, I missed you so much, I'm so glad you're okay. And then this is when Via says everything that she should have said to him from the beginning. How he lied to her, didn't keep his promise, because he actually did run away to protect Blitz, meaning he chose him over her. And then he was like, no, Via, I didn't have a choice, but you did have a choice. And then this is when she, like, shows the pills, like, why did you need these? Is this because of me? Am I just an obligation to you? And sure, Stolas does try to deny this, but it's the truth, She was an obligation to him. Like, he was forced to have her. And there's no other way of saying that, because it's true. And Stolas is so apologetic and trying to, like, say you are the one good thing in my life. But Octavia's done. She doesn't believe him anymore. I don't quite remember what she says. I'll put it on the screen, obviously, but she basically says, you've already lied to me once. I can't have that again. And then she says, I remember this. She says, have a good life with him, meaning Blitz. And then that's when she walks away. So, yeah, that was Octavia and Stolas' like, whole thing. Stolas does break down in tears because of this, which, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I'll give him that, because his daughter just says she doesn't want to see him again. But I will say, a lot of people online are saying that this is all her fault, and that Stolas has done nothing wrong, and I'm like, what? Did we watch the same show? Are you kidding me? Like, he literally did everything wrong. What are you talking about? Like, he literally chose Blitz over her. The one thing he said he'd never do. And then, like, she's like, in her mind, obviously, she's like, I don't want to see you again because you broke your promise to me. So, it's like, what are you talking about? Octavia's in the right, alright? Like, she actually is. I do not care what anyone says, alright? Octavia is 1000% in the right. Like, she had every right to leave Stolas. And he broke 2 promises to her that he kept for her whole life. That he'd never leave her, and that he would take her to see the stars, and that nothing would ever stop him from taking her. And instantly forgot the day of it. So yeah, Stolas is a bad dad. I have no doubts that he does love his daughter, of course, but he is a bad dad, alright? A really bad one. Like, he kind of is a bad person, to be fair, but it's, again, he's, like, working on this, so I don't agree with the whole, like, opinion that Stolas is this, like, evil monster, while Blitz is this, like, victim, or I also don't agree with the opposite opinion. In my mind, both of them are just as bad as each other, but, again, I'll make a video about that eventually, but, yeah, for my conclusion for this video, Octavia has done nothing wrong, because she's literally a child, and in her mind, her dad's betrayed her. What more do you want, alright? If you actually think Octavia's in the wrong, then you are a bad person as well, because you blame the children for the parents' actions, when the parents are the ones who should take responsibility for failing you. This is literally the plot point in every single Disney film with parents. Like, the parents are always in the wrong, and they apologize to the child at the end. Like, so, what's so different here? Like, I don't get it. It's so weird to me. It really is. But I had to make this video because I've seen too many people saying that Octavia is the one at fault here, when she's literally not. But that's where I'm going to end this video. It wasn't too long, but I didn't think it was going to be. Again, this wasn't a character study about Octavia. I was just wanting to talk about what I thought of the situation and how I believe that she's done nothing wrong. But if you, like, disagree, then I can't really stop you. But let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe, and I may make a video about Stolas and Blitz's relationship, but that also may be too complicated, because they generally are one of the most complicated relationships in any show right now that I'm watching, so yeah. But I'll see you next time. Bye!